Hello and welcome to today's episode. You'll have to excuse me as I am getting over a bit of a cold and you might hear that in my voice, but I am excited you're here today. Today's episode is all about what is your intuition as well as understanding your psychic awareness. And I'll be digging into their fundamental concepts and how these two pieces work together, how your intuition is the foundation for your psychic awareness. And yeah, we're all able to tap into these natural abilities, every single one of us. We just tend to get in our own way, therefore not allowing ourselves to develop and utilize these incredible gifts. And I know this personally because as I stepped into my own journey, understanding my intuition and psychic awareness and then leading to mediumship, I doubted myself. Talk about imposter syndrome. As I started to step into this, it took me a while to start to trust what I was getting and receiving the information. And I would say if you are in this position, starting this journey, or are curious to step into it, then you'll be in really good company. And it's about staying humble. It's about that we don't know everything there is to know about the non-physical world and being open to understanding how you operate. What is your own unique intuition and the psychic awareness that you're able to connect to, which is so incredible if you think about it. I find that as we come home to our natural intuition and develop our psychic awareness, even if you don't go professionally with this, you use it in your everyday personal life, you start to realize you have these incredible tools and access to these powerful, powerful tools that are here to guide you every day in making decisions in the direction you want to take in your life. It's just we constantly get in our own way and stop trusting ourselves. So today I lay the groundwork of what I teach and most importantly, what I use in my own work. Nothing gives me greater joy than to share this with all of you and to connect with others who step into this work or at least have a curiosity around it. I am so glad you're here and please enjoy the episode. I want to explain today the difference between your intuition, your psychic awareness, and mediumship. They all interact with each other, and it's really important to build the foundation, starting with your intuition, to be able to develop and understand your psychic clairs, to then receive and communicate with spirit. Starting with our intuition. Intuition is a form of knowing or understanding that happens without conscious or logical reasoning or thinking. I kind of describe it as a gut feeling or an inner sense that leads you to certain decisions or insights, even when there isn't clear logical evidence supporting them. I find intuition taps into the subconscious mind, drawing from your personal experiences, emotions, and subtle cues, helping you to quickly kind of grasp a situation or make a choice. I find people often rely on intuition in situations where immediate responses are needed or when, your logic alone doesn't provide a clear answer. I like to put all of this in the visualization of like a tree. And I think of intuition being the root system of growing this tree to branch out to your psychic clairs and receive information around us. So we're starting with the root system of this tree. I kind of want to talk about some signs or indication of your intuition. So you might feel sudden clarity or insight, like a light bulb moment where everything suddenly makes sense, even without conscious reasoning. You might also get like a gut feeling. you feel a strong, unexplainable sense in your body, often in your stomach, gut, or your chest, that tells you what decision or action to take, whether it's to proceed or avoid something. And it will be a very strong visceral feeling. Another important one is feeling at peace with a decision, like there's just flow. So even when a choice seems illogical or goes against conventional advice, you feel calm and confident that it's the right path. You might also experience like an unexpected creative idea. Your intuition often sparks a new idea or solution that comes seemingly out of nowhere, helping you to kind of think outside the box. And you will probably, or some people do experience, not everybody, but physical sensations. Like you might notice this visceral physical sensation like the chills, goosebumps, or tingling, especially when something or your intuition deeply resonates with you. It's really signaling that internal system to align with something that is on the right path or true to be for you. And then another one that kind of comes in is you might have persistent thoughts or signs. Your mind keeps returning to a particular idea, or you repeatedly notice certain signs or synchronicities that seem to confirm your direction. These nudges, these signs keep coming to let you know you're on the right path, I find, or they're nudging you to say, listen, this is not the right direction. Especially when we're in situations that we might feel sad or frustrated or scared or fearful. Those signs will continuously come to let us know that something needs to change, to put you in a better emotional state with a situation. So understanding the foundation of our intuition is the most important thing that's constantly running through us. And until we can really understand that or feel connected to it, it's very hard to develop our psychic awareness through our clairs. And I kind of start to create this picture that the root system comes up and builds the tree trunk. And then we start to build up from there. So as we are building the intuition, we now kind of come into this psychic awareness and this more specific sense of perceiving. Psychic awareness, what I like to see and feel with this is this ability to perceive information or energies beyond the 5 physical senses. It involves heightened sensitivity to, say, subtle energies, your thoughts, emotions, often referred to as extrasensory perception, known as ESP. This awareness is the ability to gain information or perceive things without using our 5 physical senses, our sight, our hearing, touch, taste, and smell. ESP is often referred to as the 6th sense and includes abilities such as psychometry, which is this ability to obtain information about a person or an event or memories by touching objects associated with them. These can be personal objects like jewelry, a shoe, car keys, even, something like an item of a memento or a souvenir. Telepathy is another way that we can throw this into the abilities, and that's ability of telepathy is to transmit thoughts or your emotions without verbal or physical communication. And this is one of the stronger pieces that I utilize through my mediumship. Precognition is another ability under this umbrella of ESP, and it's really the ability to foresee or predict future events. And, those that are claircognizant may have a knowing, a clear thinking about things that are going to take place, potentials in the future. And then we have the other clairs that fall under this that I'll talk about: the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. And these are energy channels that are developed through understanding and strengthening your psychic awareness, only first by understanding and connecting to your intuition, that you will then receive these extrasensory pieces of information through your clairs. So the next piece of this beautiful tree that we're kind of building and visualizing from the root system up to the trunk. So we have our intuition, that's the root system feeding your psychic awareness. And then from the psychic awareness, we develop these beautiful different branches called the clairs. And not everybody's tree will have every clair, every branch. You might have one branch that's particularly strong for you. You might have 2 or 3 branches that are particularly strong and grow from your tree trunk. So everyone's branches will be different, and those branches are there to grow and receive information, the rain, the sun, the nutrients, which are the messages that are delivered. And they are these receptors that are there opened to receiving information from spirit. And we all have stronger branches. Some of us may have 1, like I said, 2, 3, or 4. So I want to talk a little bit about what those clairs are and how they might be identified or make sense. So there's 4 primary clairs that we're just going to talk about for the sake of the development piece for today, as there's more clairs as we get into mediumship. But the 4 primary ones I'm going to talk about refer to the different types of psychic abilities that correspond to specific senses. Each clair kind of describes how someone might receive intuitive or psychic information beyond the ordinary 5 senses. So the first one is clairvoyance, which is a clear seeing. And clairvoyance is this ability to receive visual information through mental images, visions, or symbols. This can happen as flashes of images, like a movie playing in your mind, or more subtle impressions. These visual cues often provide insight into a person, situation, or potential future event. An example of that might be you might suddenly see a mental image of someone you haven't spoken to in years in your mind's eye. And it's very similar to your intuition, so we're going to talk about that. And then later that day, the person that kind of popped into your mind reaches out to you through a text or a phone call, or you hear about them from somebody. You might have a vision of going to a family member's house in several months, or you see like a dinner kind of pop into your mind and nothing's planned. And then like a week later, your aunt calls you and she says, hey, we're going to do a dinner, for Easter or for so-and-so's birthday. So things like that will pop in, and, the difference of working through your intuition and this clairvoyance of clear seeing is very, very similar to your imagination. And so sometimes part of our work in developing is really parsing out what our clear seeing clairvoyance is versus our imagination. And one of the biggest distinctions that I have come to understand for myself and teach my students is that when I am getting a clairvoyant vision, when I'm really seeing something come in the psychic download, I'm very detached from the image that I'm getting. It's as though it pops into my head and it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. An example of that might be I am washing the dishes, folding the laundry, driving in my car, and focusing on the things that I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, I get a picture of an old family camp that, say, belonged to my great-grandfather. And then I just, see his face in my mind. So what I like to share is that when there is genuine psychic data coming through, imagery, clairvoyance, we're not emotionally attached to it. And it has nothing to do sometimes with what we're doing. It just comes in and then it leaves. And when we start to become aware of that, we start to see these patterns kind of come in, and this awareness that, there's something connecting to us, or we're tapping into a much larger energy field around us. So clairvoyance is clear seeing. The next one is clairaudience, clear hearing. And clairaudience is this ability to receive intuitive or psychic information through sound. This could be hearing actual voices externally, music and other sounds externally or within your mind's voice. And it for many people, that clairaudience is inside the mind. So everything is kind of internally happening. And a lot of times these sounds will often offer guidance or warnings for some, but this clairaudience might indicate a spirit talking to you. And a lot of times it will sound like your own voice. It's you, but it comes in again unexpectedly. Like you're not attached to what you just heard, has nothing to do with what you're doing. And again, I go back to that, is that it is probably the more random something is in your head, the likely indication it is a psychic download or psychic information coming in. And then as we continue on through mediumship, it's spirit communicating. An example of this may be you might hear a clear voice in your mind offering advice like turn left, which helps you potentially avoid like a traffic accident. So we'll get these voices, and when we start to discern if it's our own or if it's coming psychically through our awareness, we start to pay attention to that more. The next one is clairsentience, clear feeling. Clairsentience is the ability to sense or feel psychic information through your emotions or even physical sensations. You might feel the emotions of others deeply. Physical sensations in your body, for instance, if you know somebody has not been feeling well or they're deeply sad or overwhelmed, you might feel the sensation in your chest area and your heart. It's also a general sense of knowing what someone else is experiencing. It's also, an extremely empathetic ability and a very strong connection to children who feel deeply, and especially when we're young, we just feel so deeply the emotions of others. An example, you may walk into a room and instantly feel a heavy, anxious energy, even though no one has spoken about what's happening, and you didn't walk in with that feeling. I know a lot of children, when they're going into the schools and have to go to class, they pick up the energy of their classmates. They pick up the energy of, say, a teacher not coming in with a great mood or going through their own trauma. So, and children especially pick up the energy in their homes and the people around them. So when we start to look at this and how we step into this, one of the biggest things that I've noticed when someone who clear feels and has that clear feeling of clairsentience is sometimes we don't know where we end and they begin. Where do our emotions and thoughts and feelings end, and the person that we're around, where do they begin? So there's this blending and this blur of boundaries. And a lot of times when those that are starting out in healing work can feel really drained because they're not knowing how to take care of their spiritual energy, their emotions, their feelings without it being connected to somebody else, especially if that person's going through a lot. So one of the most important things that we have to do when we step into this work is be very aware that it is our responsibility to have those boundaries and understanding of where does our energy end, our emotions and feelings, and where does theirs begin, and what belongs to somebody else and not us. It doesn't belong to us. And really, it's a lot because we want to help. We don't want to see suffering. And so that's one of the pieces that's extremely important to stepping into this work so we don't become drained for ourselves. The last one is claircognizance, clear knowing. Claircognizance is the ability to know something without having any logical or factual explanation. It's like a sudden flash or insight or understanding that feels certain and true, even if you can't explain why you know it. This knowledge often comes spontaneously. An example of this might be you suddenly have a strong, unshakable belief that someone is lying to you, even if there's no clear evidence at the moment. But later to find out that that was in fact true. So this claircognizance, which is a very strong clair for me, is I will just know something. And so when I'm in a session with somebody and they're asking me these specific questions, the knowing is a very strong yes or no, or I'll see a specific outcome or timeline. It's just a clear knowing. And I feel this feeling, you might feel this all through your body, or it's just clearly up more towards your mind. It's like a clear knowing in your thoughts. You just know it. Where clairsentience is like a feeling in your chest and your heart and your gut, kind of. This kind of goes up higher. And between claircognizance of clear knowing and clairvoyance of clear seeing, sometimes it can be hard to pull those two apart, because I will see an image come in, but I also know it at the same time. So it's very rapid, right? That rapid feeling. And, they say a lot of entrepreneurs and successful inventors are very claircognizant. They just know the outcome. They see the big picture without needing to know the details. They just know that it's going to take place. Like this, it's this undeniable feeling. And also when that claircognizance comes in, there's such a feeling of not needing to be validated, only because when we work with our clairs and we're receiving information, and as I always try to share this, that we have to let go of the outcome, whether something is right or wrong. When you're feeling that claircognizant, it just is. It just is. And you may never know if it ever validates for you, or if it ever gets validated. It just is. There's a very also peaceful, flowing, direct energy of just knowing something. Each clair as a unique channel for receiving psychic, and intuitive information really starts to develop as you start to fine tune how you're receiving and getting information. While some people might primarily rely on one clair, others might experience multiple clairs working for them. For example, you might see an image, clairvoyance, and also feel the emotions associated with it, clairsentience. The clairs offer insight into energies or situations beyond what's immediately perceptible through the normal senses. And each clair corresponds to a unique form of intuitive perception. And so again, think of your clairs as these valves that open up and get specific. Intuition's more general, and it can be a yes and no, but a general feeling of what direction to take on a daily basis, hourly basis, things to do, where, the clairs are tapping into something very specific, like the past, the present, and the future, or the future. It's a very specific focus. And how do intuition and psychic awareness work together? So your intuition helps you make quick decisions or understand situations without overthinking. Often in the moment, that's what I have found. My intuition is just so quick on the draw that it's right there. As you develop that, it becomes a very useful tool to help you not feel stuck or stay stuck in current situations, dilemmas, challenges. It really gives you the clarity you need to take action. And then psychic awareness enhances this process by offering deeper insights, like recognizing connections, reading subtle energies, or receiving visions or messages. For example, you might have a gut feeling, intuition that a friend is upset, even if they seem fine. The psychic awareness might give you a stronger sense of why they feel this way or what even triggered it. And then together they guide you to a clearer understanding of what's happening around you. Intuition lays the foundation for information that you're receiving around yourself or others, and psychic awareness pinpoints it. It's, again, I think I said before that, think of yourself reading a book and the words are far, far away, but I see a book. And then as I pull the book closer to me, I realize I'm reading a chapter on something very specific that has a specific emotion and specific detail, and that's psychic awareness bringing it in. So as we step into understanding our intuition and developing our psychic awareness, and those who choose to want to go further than just understanding their intuition which every single person has intuition, can utilize it, and also even, open up and develop their psychic clairs, their psychic awareness. Every single soul is an energetic body being here, capable of connecting beyond the 5 physical senses. We are just limited in our own, sometimes disbelief in ourselves, that we're not able to do that, or that it's so beyond us that how could I possibly do that? But we all harness this ability, and have the opportunity to develop it.
Recording in progress.
And thank you for listening to part 1 of this 2-part series. Be sure to join me for the next episode, where we'll dive into the fascinating topic of mediumship. These episodes give you a sneak peek into the online classes I teach and the exciting new courses launching in spring of 2025. I'm so grateful you joined me today, and I can't wait to share part 2 with you in the coming weeks. Take good care.